Hey everyone, this is Riven Blade with a review of AEW Dark episode 96 for July 6th, 2021. And this is the one. This is the last episode at Daly's Place for AEW Dark, and really the last show of the pandemic era for AEW. And it's kind of bittersweet. This one is at a 2-hour runtime, which is par for the course if you have been watching Dark all this time. And you know what? One thing I won't miss from this era is this bloated runtime that they have for some of these episodes. So looking forward to more manageable, like 40-minute or 50-minute episodes going forward. Anyway, this show, it allowed us to say goodbye to a lot of people that we're probably not going to see again for a long time in AEW, and also allowed us to take a look at some people that are going to be part of AEW's future. So this was worth seeing just for that. There were some very heartwarming moments in this one, and we'll get to those. So the first match is Lance Archer taking on Ryan Mantell, making his AEW debut. And this one just, Mantell doesn't get much in at all in this one. Lance Archer kind of wins it with the helicoaster. And you know what? I have to say, I really like Lance Archer. I don't know what they're doing with him, but what I like about him is that it doesn't matter if he's in a story or not in a story. He always carries himself as an intense monster. So I love his performances. He always gives it 100%. And I don't know where they're going with him. And that's kind of okay, because he's someone you can always keep heated up in the background. And when we're talking about AEW's future, Lance Archer, I don't know how long his career is going to last, how many more years he's got in him. But he's always somebody that you can use as that monster for, a baby face to take down, to take the next step. And I love that about him. So yeah, there's the helicoaster for the win. The next match we have, speaking of the future of AEW, Terrell and Terrence Hughes. So these are the sons of Devon Dudley taking on QT Marshall and Aaron Solo. And this match, it just, nothing really special about it. Just Terrell and Terrence getting their reps in, getting to look a little bit good against these guys. They kind of use the Dudley boys' moves, the top rope into the groin move, and they tease doing a 3D that got blocked. But this one ends up with, QT hitting the diamond cutter in the end. There's some funny moments on commentary during this one. So they talk about the strap match coming up, and Ricky Starks said that he had one against his mom once. Taz says that, yeah, Ricky Starks' mom, like, she's undefeated. Stark says that his mom is 20-0 in strap matches. So Ricky bringing up some old childhood traumas over there and admitting that he was abused by his mother. So yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, there's also another funny moment where Solo is about to use the double underhook facebuster, which is basically the pedigree, and Taz pops himself by saying, hey, speaking of Paul, wait a minute. And he's the only one laughing, alluding to Paul Levesque, of course, Triple H, who uses the pedigree, or used the pedigree in his career. Anyway, the Hughes boys, I'm curious to see what they can do in the future. I think AEW is probably looking into maybe signing them, or if they're saying goodbye for now, you know what? Let them get some experience on the indies and check back in with them in a couple of years. So we'll see how they do in the future. Anyway. Next up, this segment, I love this segment. Number one, the waiting room, the stuff on the walls. I love the redecoration that they did with this set. I need that poster in my life, that Brit you see on the wall right there when she enters the room. And I love that Brit is on Dark. I love that the waiting room is back, and it would be really cool to see her on Dark and Elevation, at least once every 2 weeks or something like that. And she's tremendous in this introduction. She hypes up, the August 11th and 13th Pittsburgh shows, and she says that she is Pittsburgh's only hope. She says that, Pittsburgh's only hope is going to save Pittsburgh. She says, I'm not talking about the Steelers, I'm not talking about the Penguins, and I'm sure as hell not talking the Pirates. So she's really putting herself over as the savior of Pittsburgh and doing that kind of cheap heel heat thing where she's going to have her hometown boo her by making fun of their sports teams. Anyway, she also jokes about Cody and the strap match, and she says that, Cody is into straps, and that's probably how we got Baby Rhodes into the world. And then she says, but no kink shaming. So pretty just funny stuff from Britt Baker. I know she's probably writing this stuff all on her own. She's just brilliant, like with a microphone in her hand. So I hope we get to see more and more of her. This whole thing, though, is really about, Joey Janela and Sunny Kiss. And I thought Sunny Kiss didn't come off great in this segment because, number one, Joey Janela has turned his back on Sunny time and time and time again. And we had the scene where Sunny said, we're done. And he walked out on him. And here kind of Joey begs, for Sunny to take him back. He says it's Alex Marvez's fault. And, you saw this where he's kind of pointing at the door saying, Alex Marvez. And, of course, Marvez is not there. So he's not even taking the blame for his, not being a good friend. He uses the line, I don't want my bad boy summer to turn into my sad boy summer. He wants Sunny by his side. And this is kind of like awkwardness at the end where Sunny's kind of giving him a choice. And I guess the idea was he was going to turn his back and Joey could choose to either walk through the door or to hug Sunny. And I don't know, the way it came off was really strange because Sunny turned his back, but then he turned back to face Joey within like 4 seconds. So a very awkward ending of an otherwise almost home run segment. Like I really liked the waiting room this week, and I hope we get to see it more often. More Britt Baker all across the board in AEW is a good thing, I think. So yeah, hands him some sunglasses, and Joey's just very happy that they're back together. Britt is not happy. She's just selling that. I love her selling, kind of stamping the ground at the end here. So yeah, this segment is worth going out of your way to see. There was a lot of fun stuff going on here. Fun lines too. So we got Natalia Markova and Abaddon. Natalia Markova kind of playing that Eastern European bombshell. And is Abaddon being built as like a challenger for Britt eventually? Because she's picking up a lot of wins lately on Dark and Elevation. She wins with her modified DDT with like her leg around Markova's neck. And I still don't know the name for this. I've looked up YouTube videos of, top 20 Abaddon moves, and I've looked at her wiki. And I think this is a brand new move that she's created because she's got stuff called like the Bloodline, the Soul Reaver, which is a personal favorite of mine. If she played Soul Reaver back in the PlayStation and Dreamcast days, that would be amazing. Anyway, I'm just imagining the eventual matchup that if she does face Britt Baker at some time down the line, I'm not saying it's going to happen next month or even 2 months from now, Britt Baker is not going to want to put her hand into Abaddon's mouth. And Abaddon is someone else who's kind of like, the future of AEW. And she's going to be in this women's division for years to come because they clearly see something in her, and they put her in high profile positions already. I don't think that she has knocked stuff out of the park. I think her entrance is strong. Her look is really strong. Her in-ring is getting better. But I'm just imagining Britt Baker being grossed out, trying to put the lockjaw on Abaddon, and Abaddon biting her finger, and Britt trying to, needing to find some kind of way around that. So that could be a fun little thing in their eventual match, if it ever happens. So yeah, Abaddon picks up the win, of course. Carly Bravo versus Matt Sydal. Is Carly Bravo going to stick around with AEW? I don't know. So this match, two really cool moments that kind of like stuck out to me. Matt Sydal's kick to the face at one point on Carly Bravo looked like he caught him flush. Like it was really impactful, and the announce team sold it like death. So anyway, Sydal wins this one with the lightning spiral. But this is just a way, again, to get Sydal ready for Andrade. And I have to say that Matt Sydal has come a long way since slipping off the top rope when he first came into AEW. And I wasn't that big on them signing him at first. I thought, does AEW need another high-flyy, flippy guy? And you know what? Yes, because Sydal is a perfect utility player in AEW. He can put on like a 4-star match with almost anybody. And, we had the Kenny Omega match that he had. He's had his 2 matches against Dante Martin. Almost every situation that you put him in, he's going to look good. And I think he's getting over, and he has gotten over with the AEW audience. So he's kind of another gatekeeper kind of character. Well, I'm thinking of it like a video game now. So, a gatekeeper wrestler who can kind of, be a stepping stone before you get into the main event scene. Next up, we had Trey Lamar versus The Blade. And you know what? I'm giving Trey Lamar the Marcus Kross Hair of the Week award because his do looks just fantastic. I'm going to call this kind of like the modified pompadour because that's kind of what it looks like. It kind of flops around, but it goes back into place. It's a really sleek looking hairstyle, I got to say. I really like it on him. He also had some pretty decent offense in this match. So he had a springboard crossbody. He had a Pele kick. He missed an elbow drop. And after missing that elbow drop, Blade eventually got really pissed. He was about to use his belt, but the ref took it away. And while the ref was looking away, the Blade got the brass knucks and slammed Martin in the face with them. Trey Lamar in the face with them. So, yeah, we're definitely going to see those brass knuckles coming out in the mixed tag match on Dynamite tonight. I wonder how they're going to incorporate it. And I'm really curious about that match in general, if it's going to be a true intergender match, because that's the way they're selling it, but they're calling it a mixed tag. So I'm still assuming it's going to be women versus women and men versus men. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Blade's physique is just out of this world. I don't know what I would do to have those kind of abs and that kind of chest. That guy just must be at the gym 3 hours a day. Anyway, Big Trouble Ben Bishop versus Bear Bronson with Bear Boulder at ringside. So if you like alliteration, this is your match. The only thing it was missing was the Butcher and the Blade at ringside. A lot of B's going on here is what I'm saying. So this guy, Big Trouble Ben Bishop, he is a giant, okay? Like, he's a skyscraper. He is about 6'11", 6'12". He's listed as 6'12" online. And he, as a big man, he kind of reminds me of Big Cass / W. Morrissey in terms of his height. He has the big boot as one of his moves, as you do when you're a giant this big and this athletic. And when you're the size of the CN Tower, you can do that kind of thing. But he's kind of a vulnerable big man because he doesn't really win this match, right? And you knew he wasn't going to because Bear Bronson's been getting a pretty nice spotlight lately, even though he has been losing in big matches. But he gets to win this one by sitting on his chest, sitting on Bishop's chest. And this match, you know what? It should be ending moves. There was some nice thick boy energy near the end of this match, all mostly emanating from Bear Bronson. He's got some solid looking offense, very thick, very meaty stuff going on. And again, this move should be finishing matches. So guys have kicked out of this before, but not this time. Taz calls this the booty bump, which I don't think they'll be using that name moving forward. But anyway, looking forward to Bear Country being part of AEW's future. Like we're talking about saying goodbye to some people and being grateful for some people who came in during the pandemic. And Bear Country is one of those teams, two of those guys that we got to be grateful for that AEW found during the pandemic. Looking forward to seeing what they do in the future. Next up, we got Baron Black and Ryzen taking on Fuego del Sol and Marco Stunt. And this is just the feel-good match of this show. So this, of course, you probably have heard that Fuego del Sol is not going to get signed by AEW. At least that's what we know as of now. Neither is Baron Black, unfortunately. And I don't know about Ryzen's status. Of course, Marco Stunt is with AEW. So this was just a really fun, feel-good tag match with people who have been involved in like Sammy's vlog and Fuego's vlog. It's just a really good time. So if you follow those things, you know that the tornado DDT is the move that Fuego wants to hit and tries to hit in every match. And he actually hits it in this match. And he gets the surprise victory. He is psyched. He is just excited. And it's just a really nice feel-good moment. And Fuego del Sol, like, he is the epitome, the embodiment of Tony Khan just giving guys a chance in the pandemic era around the Florida region. So he's ecstatic, that he got this win. He got to go out on a feel-good moment with the crowd, cheering for him. All the vlog guys come out at the end. And it was just really nice, really heartwarming stuff. Go out of your way to see this, especially if you're a fan of the vlog. Next up, we got Viva Van versus Chris Statlander. This is Van's debut in AEW. Didn't show too much. She's got a decent look. Statlander, again, continues to be built up, probably as Britt's late summer challenger. She looked good in this match, finishes things off with a Big Bang Theory, which I still don't know how you do that move without eventually screwing it up and really hurting someone. But I guess she does it well enough and people trust her well enough to do it. You see the ref jumping there. So I like Statlander. It's kind of unfortunate that she will have to lose to Britt, although she's really not ready for it yet. So in some ways, maybe it's a good thing for now to get in a tag title match in the early part of her career before eventually winning the belt off somebody, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years. So yeah, just a fun little match for Statlander there. And she gets to boop the ref at the end. Next up, Chad Lennox and Zacariah in their second AEW match, taking on the Varsity Blondes. And another thing during this pandemic era, we have the members of the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. So these guys were trained by Dustin. They come out to Dustin's music again. And this match is kind of what Dark is all about, getting in reps for untested talent in front of a crowd. Taz talks about, they're trying to sell tickets to the upcoming shows, and Taz says, buy a ticket for God's sakes. And Excalibur says, that's how you sell tickets. Be mean to them. That's it. That's how you sell tickets to people. Anyway, this match was fine. It was just a way to get reps in for everybody involved. Of course, the Varsity Blondes won with, they kind of do this thing where Griff Garrison does his spinning discus lariat, and Pillman Jr., I apologize, Pillman Jr. does kind of the springboard clothesline off the top for the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this was fine. Inoffensive stuff here. Prince Kai versus Angelico. So Prince Kai is 0-1. His last match was back in April against Orange Cassidy. I got to say, he has a very nice-looking neck breaker. And the Navarro Death Roll, of course, wins this one. It doesn't last too long. He gets in a little bit. Like, Kai gets in some offense in this match. I don't know if he's definitely not going to be going on the road. He's not somebody that AEW's been bringing in a lot, so he was probably just a body that they needed to give this win to Angelico. And Angelico, you know what? I really like this guy as a mechanic, as a utility guy. You can slot in with almost anyone, and he's almost guaranteed to give you something nice. And really, the post-match is what this was all about. So, interestingly, Wheeler Yuta comes out at the end because Angelico is vibing to his music. Even when it goes off, he keeps dancing. And Yuta, he takes exception to this. He comes out because his match is next. And they kind of rub shoulders. And Wheeler Yuta, it looks like Tony Khan might have plans for him, which is awesome because he has a great look. He has an interesting, unique in-ring style. He does this thing where he quickly crawls backwards through guys' legs and stuff like that. So he's very unique, and he has a really strong babyface face, although he could just as easily play a heel. Anyway, going on to that, we have Wheeler Yuta taking on the Hollywood hunk Ryan Nemeth. And speaking of more pandemic wrestlers who we're not going to see moving forward in AEW, at least not anytime soon, we have the Wingmen. And I'm going to miss these guys. They had good chemistry. They developed good chemistry in the latter part of the pandemic. And you know what? Ryan Nemeth, since he's not coming back, there's Yuta. I told you, look at that face. I want to cheer for this guy. Yuta wins with like a surprise, cool pinning roll-up combination on Nemeth. So he is shocked with his victory. And so is Nemeth. And it looks like they might have some plans for Yuta. Hopefully he's going on the road with them because, again, cool look, unique moveset, great babyface face, and he's just really talented. So I hope and I wonder if we can see more from him in the future, if he's someone we're going to be talking about years down the line as, not a homegrown AEW talent, but someone who AEW really gave a chance to and was able to shine. I hope so, because of what I've seen from him so far, I like him. Next, Hunter Knott and Rosario Grillo taking on Sean Spears and Wardlow. And you know what? The Pinnacle theme, plays out while Wardlow and Spears come out. Really love that music, love that guitar, that classic kind of Horseman style stuff they got going on with that. And Rosario Grillo and Hunter Knott, they look like they're ready to go on a jog or something. And they just get destroyed in this match. Wardlow gets to show off like his power spots in this. And it's just a really just an excuse for Wardlow to look like a beast. And he certainly does that. And at some point, like Spears wants to go wild on these guys and Wardlow has to hold him back. I really like that because commentary goes on about, Wardlow is the voice of reason. And that's kind of scary that Wardlow is the voice of reason holding back Sean Spears. Wardlow's a nice guy, though. He tags Spears in and lets him get the W. by hitting the C4 on one of these guys. I don't know if that's Grillo or not actually taking that one. And Spears brings in a chair at the end, but the ref stops them. So just going on with that whole unhinged character still. And yeah, this is just warming up, keeping the Pinnacle warm, keeping the guys warm as they take on the Inner Circle. Hopefully we see an end to that feud over the summer because, I don't know, I'm kind of, just spent on it a little bit. All right, next up we got Kailyn King and Tyconte. And King is someone who has benefited greatly from her time in AEW. This was a fine match, actually. You should maybe go out of your way to see this one. I'm sad that King doesn't seem to be going on the road with AEW because I thought she made some major strides during her time at the company. She's going to have a better quality of life after this. And, hopefully she can ask for more money from promoters with her higher profile that she's acquired in AEW. And I think she's found some of her personality and not just like her wrestling ability, but some kind of character, which I thought was missing from her when I first saw her come into AEW. And I hope we get to see her down the line, maybe future Darks, maybe AEW takes a look at her again in a few years, because she grew a lot during her time here. And she's one of the success stories of this pandemic era, even though she's not going on the road with AEW. So yeah, the Ty KO does this, wins this one. Anyway, also, -1. Is he going to go on the road in the summer with everybody? It's summer vacation, so maybe his mom will let him. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Next, just a quick promo with Dasha and the Varsity Blondes. They say they will not stop until those tag titles are theirs. And they lost to the Bucks in May, so I'm not sure if they're going to be ready anytime soon. And I'm not sure really if they should ever be tag champions, but we'll see. They're still super young. Who knows what things can look like 3 years, 5 years down the line. But this is just keeping them on your mind as a relevant team that AEW is building up. So this was fine. Next, 8-man tag. Will Alday, who I've missed because I liked his appearances. Jason Hodge, Chandler Hopkins, Dean Alexander taking on Colt Cabana, 10, Alan Five Angels, and Alex Reynolds. Not a lot to this match, to be quite honest with you. 5 wins it with a frog splash. 10 has some spotlight moments to show off his power. It was fine. I'm just looking forward to seeing what the Dark Order does next in the build to Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Will Hangman maybe turn his back on them? I'm not ruling that out. And think of how far the Dark Order have come during the pandemic era. Think about everything unfortunately that happened with Brody Lee, but he was able to build them up, make people take them seriously, and I'm always happy when I see them, and I love that they always come out together as a family. It's simple, but it gets me, man. It gets me every time. So look, I love the Dark Order, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they interact with Hangman going into his match with Kenny Omega. Next up, Jack Evans taking on Mikeseidel. So, hey, another thing we got during the pandemic era, we found out that Mikeseidel has a brother, right? I mean, that's not just me, right? That's like almost every wrestling fan who found out about the existence of Mikeseidel. Sorry, Mike. He's a solid enough wrestler, and I think he'd be a fine number 2 in a tag team, which is basically what he was during his run here. But I don't think he showed enough character or personality to continue being on the AEW roster, but who knows? Maybe he's going to travel with them, maybe not. I guess we'll see. And I don't know. This match was okay. Jack Evans wins with this roll-up bridge that he almost never wins with, so that was good for him. And he needs to stay strong because TH2 being part of the HFO right now, that's important for them to keep things going strong. Ashley Vox taking on Red Velvet. So, Ashley Vox, the Sea Stars, she's someone else who AEW picked up during the pandemic era. It doesn't look like she's going to go on the road with them. I don't think she showed enough or stood out enough, and I'm not even sure if she wants to continue being part of AEW, to be honest with you. But I want to talk about Red Velvet. Red Velvet, she's a major success story in the pandemic, right? So she's gotten to main event Dynamite at this point, and she carries herself like a star. She has put the attention to detail into her work and her presentation. Her gear always looks great now. She has really strong babyface mannerisms and babyface comeback fire. I hope she gets a shot against Britt at some point this year, and I hope she eventually does win the women's championship if she stays on this trajectory. So she's really good, she's just great. She wins the match with a spinning kick to the face called the Chef's Kiss. Everything has to be has some kind of link to culinary verbiage, I'll say, with Red Velvet. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from her. And I hope we see her on Dynamite sooner rather than later. Finally, main event time. And you know what? Chaos Project versus Penta, El Zero Miedo, and Eddie Kingston. They got 6 or 7 minutes. This is a fun tag match. You should check it out. And what I really want to talk about is how fitting it is that Serpentico, this is a guy who was going to quit pro wrestling when the pandemic hit. Tony Khan offered him a job, offered him a chance to come into AEW, do some matches. He is now part of the company. And how poetic is it that the guy who almost quit pro wrestling when the pandemic started got to be in the main event of AEW Dark Elevation the day before this and in the main event of AEW Dark on this show. Now you might think, who cares? They're just YouTube shows. Yeah, but they're YouTube shows that are watched by a fair number of people, okay? And Serpentico has also made Luther really likable and watchable. I love these two guys as a duo, and I'm so glad that Tony Khan gave Serpentico in particular a chance to grow in this tag team. And it's just, I really love it. It's a beautiful story to me, a beautiful pro wrestling story. And the beginning of this match, again, Luther, I can say it now. I love Luther after this match. You start off with Serpentico in the ring, facing off against Eddie Kingston, and you got Luther screeching from the sidelines, "Finish him! Finish him! Finish him!" just at the beginning of the match, as Serpentico is just sitting there and about to chop Eddie Kingston. Just top-tier, restaurant-quality, pro wrestling nonsense. Like, I love this stuff. It's right in my wheelhouse. It's so ridiculous. And Luther is just really entertaining. Like, I don't know, if you're not entertained by this, I don't know what to tell you. Everyone's got different tastes, but tell me, like, have you turned the corner on Luther as much as some of us have? Because I really like this guy now. You got Luther using Serpentico as a weapon, his head as a battering ram. And of course, they were never going to win this. This is just like a great comedy tag team, though, with a badass logo, the Chaos Project. My next wrestling shirt is going to be a Chaos Project shirt because they've turned me into fans. And I never thought that would happen when I first saw Luther or when I first saw Serpentico. But together, these guys just work. They work really well. Anyway, just fun stuff in this match. Penta does the chest slaps with the glove. Eventually, he wins with the Fear Factor on Serpentico. And yeah, they celebrate getting ready for their tag team championship match against the Young Bucks. How fitting is this? So, goodbye, Luther. Goodbye, Serpentico. I'm going to miss seeing you guys during this pandemic era of wrestling. I hope we get to see much more of you moving forward. I don't think these guys are ever going to be like a Dynamite-ready, Dynamite-worthy tag team. Hey, I'd love to be proven wrong. I just don't see that in their future. But for these shows, Dark and Elevation, they're perfect. Like, they have the right amount of comedy. They have the right amount of just like athletic ability, slapstick humor. They have good comedic instincts. And I could just listen to Luther screech, "Finish him! Finish him! Finish him!" at the beginning of every match. I would love that if he did that. Please do that. All right, so that was AEW Dark for this week. Again, worth checking out for, the highlights being this main event. What else did I say? Fuego del Sol match. I mean, that was pretty cool to see. And the waiting room segment was also worth checking out. Otherwise, if you've watched these wrestlers during the pandemic era, you're probably watching this show too. And again, really looking forward to watching less than 2 hours of this next week. I swear, if next week's show is anything more than like 50 minutes, I'm going to eat my hat. Anyway. All right, so if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, turn on notifications, and until next time, take it easy.